And we welcome you once again to the 214 Sports Show, episode 112. It is Easter weekend, and we hope that you had a great Easter weekend. You and yours, Joseph Duffey here on the 214 Sports Show, joined alongside TJ Krilowicz, my wonderful co-host as always. TJ, happy Easter weekend to you.
Well, thank you, Joseph. Happy Easter weekend to you too. He's risen, and it's always a good day, always a good weekend. Unfortunately, not for the Rangers though.
Yeah, not for the Rangers who after a really solid first week of action in the opening week of the MLB season, kind of surprised me. Surprised me by going against a
Absolutely.
really great lineup in the Philadelphia Phillies, going to Baltimore and Camden Yards and winning that series again. And then all of a sudden, unrecognizable at home,
Yep.
even losing in the last day of the series where the fans got their wish of having an open roof and still could not win with some really solid pitching the last two games. Very disappointing for the Texas Rangers in this series being swept by the Cincinnati Reds. But there was good news over the weekend as Cooper Flagg, the young phenom, the teenager for the Dallas Mavericks, scored 50, the first teenager in NBA history to score 50. He got very close early on in the season with 49. This time finally reaches that 50-point mark. What an absolute crazy feat to witness.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it even makes it greater that we still lost the game and convincingly too. Did not take did not take a lot of effort for the Mavs to lose this game. And with that, Cooper Flagg was able to get a career high, make NBA history. I would say that's a pretty successful night for the Mavericks, especially with the Pelicans and Grizzlies kind of breathing down their neck in those lottery odds right behind them, about a half game, one game, I think each for them. And so, hey, not too bad. You lose that game again. Cooper Flagg looks fantastic. I think he makes an incredible case for Rookie of the Year after the ESPN little straw poll that ended up saying that Con Knipple was way in the lead, which is pretty interesting. I think I think you can make an argument for both, but I think that Cooper Flagg has the more complete game. Um, but it's whatever. How do you think about the team celebrating about it afterwards, though? Doing a little water bottle shower on Cooper Flagg after losing the game.
I get it, but it looks weird and it goes back to our topic last week of the ethical tank. Still losing this game convincingly, but you get yours basically. You get your points, you get your stats. And so it makes it look like, okay, maybe they didn't try to tank. Their star players scored 50. Their young phenom had the craziest point total for a teenager in NBA history. I'm just gonna say, you know what? I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. Let
I
let the
don't
guy
think it,
celebrate.
it's a little cheesy, but
It's cheesy. It's
there's a
cheesy.
lot of reports. Cooper Flagg, first of all, from his standpoint, he has said on multiple occasions that this is the toughest year for him playing basketball because of how many losses. He's never lost this many games, and so he is really disappointed. He wants to win, obviously, but you also have reports of there's a Spurs player apparently that's been talking mess to Klay Thompson. This was back in February, the last time that the Spurs and Mavs played, and Klay Thompson responded with, "It doesn't matter. We're tanking anyways."
I saw that.
Apparently, allegedly.
I don't know if that was
So I don't
that was
know,
real.
you can see the
I
two mindsets of two different players in their careers. But yeah, interesting stretch for the Mavericks right now.
Yeah, very interesting stretch for these Dallas Mavericks. Completely agree. And awesome to see Cooper Flagg grow, even with the hype that he had coming in. Had a lot of enormous hype. Nico Harrison definitely made the right decision because even though they had the number one pick after a crazy draft lottery odds to get the number one, there was still a little bit of an uneasy feeling if he'd actually be a Mav. And at long last, he was, and he has done awesome, putting up a Rookie of the Year campaign. And
Got to
Con
keep
Knipple,
losing, give him a good counterpart.
yeah, for sure. And keep losing because you want to improve those odds in that top seven range. But, Colin Knipple, to your point, efficient scorer, absolutely a great player. And I can't wait to see what he does. He's gotten the best of Flag in some of their matchups this year as a team for
Sure.
sure. But he's going to be a really interesting watch coming up. And so will the Hornets as a whole team because Charles Lee, he has that dog in him, head coach of the Charlotte Hornets. And people don't realize just how great of a city and state North Carolina can be for NBA basketball because we've seen the Hornets be, just poverty for the majority of their history. Charlotte Bobcats as well. And so there have been some great crowds to pop up for Charlotte, and they deserve to see a competitive team. So I'm glad for Con Knipple that he has adjusted to the NBA as well, just as well as Cooper Flagg. I don't know if he'll win the Rookie of the Year award like Flagg will, but I'm glad to see him succeeding as well. Those Duke Blue Devils have really adjusted to the NBA, and it just is a testament to how great of a program that they have in Durham. So moving on to a program that is letting us down, that'll be the Texas Rangers getting swept by the Cincinnati Reds. Hard to watch for some woeful late bullpen appearances. Robert Garcia, again, giving up a run in the Sunday finale. Not the best series for him as well. Chris Martin, not the best showing either from the late reliever. Carter Baumler has hit the 15-day IL for the Rangers as well. But the story has to be the horrendous offense. My goodness, TJ. I did not expect the offense to no-show against a Cincinnati Reds team that was 1-3 going into this home opener series. And they found a way to hit the ball in the right spot. And don't get me wrong, this Rangers offense, they were hitting the ball pretty well. They had a really good barrel, apparently, according to advanced stats over the weekend. A little bit, unlucky plays here and there. But it's something about this stadium, and it's a topic that has been rekindled over the timeline of the weekend, about the stadium just having this effect on the ball where it just dies. And you see Wyatt Langford having some really good barrel and having just bad placement because either the defender is just well positioned or the ball dies and is lined straight to, an outfielder, and the Rangers can't cash in. But nonetheless, the Rangers offense was really pitiful over the weekend. I'd love to know your thoughts on it.
Well, you bring up a good point about the ballpark. I mean, it is statistically one of the hardest places for hitters to hit in the last 2 years. Now, it could be because the Rangers offense has been terrible. But, it also, the away percentage or the away average has been also low. I wish I could have the stats pulled up right now, but that's going to take some time. And so maybe I'll pull it up after, when Joe's talking. But it is a difficult place to hit at. And so, you see this horrendous offensive, showing, not just from the Rangers, but also from Cincinnati. They were just able to hit at the right times. And that kind of what brings up my point is that this team, is not doing good in clutch situations. The offense was bad, obviously. The pitching was good. This felt a lot like last year. The thing is that they were not clutch, and they weren't clutch again this season, or at least so far, in 2 runs or less out, games that have ended. Sorry, let me try to make this a little bit more clear. In games that have ended in 2 runs or less between the opponents, the Rangers right now are 1-4. They went 0-3 this series, and that's a pretty alarming factor. That also shows bullpen has been an issue for the Rangers, but it also just you're getting into these bottom of the ninth situations, and you are not putting up a fight. You haven't even put a player in scoring position in these last 2 outings against the Cincinnati Reds. You had the Jock Peterson double play, and you strike out the entire, the Reds strike out the side at the bottom of the ninth on Sunday. And these are alarming stuff that just need to get fixed. If they can go back to winning 1 or 2 run games, that's something that they had a recipe for success in 2023. That's why they were able to make it into the playoffs. I think about the 2015 Rangers that made it into the wild card. I think they had one of the best one-run records in MLB history. Those are the things that you need to do to make it into the playoffs when you have an average offense. We do not have a special offense. We have a special pitching staff, but we do not have a special offense. And that is what's holding us back and what has held us back. It's just got to win those games when they're close, especially when you're at home.
And it wasn't just any, pitcher that struck out the side for the Reds to close out the series sweep. It was Brock Burke, the former southpaw for the Rangers, who
First
looked
career save, by the way.
absolutely dominant. I mean, who else would it be? Who else would it be to close out the game like that in such dominant fashion after Jock Peterson got his first hit of the year. For a while, you and I had the same batting average as Jock Peterson this season.
Yep.
And I got to say, this is why I think Rangers fans are some of the best in the world. How this man has not gotten a crazy chorus of boos, really until that moment. It's unreal. There are a lot of fan bases that will have let that guy hear it after a 3-game series.
Absolutely. And
After
I think the Cowboys
Philadelphia,
fan base would be one of them.
if you're any of those fan bases in the Northeast, Philadelphia, New York Mets, New York Yankees, Boston, they would have let that guy hear it a week ago.
Sticking the baseball, yep, for sure.
And you hear basically like, how Jock Pearson has done. You hear a few murmurs in the crowd, maybe when he strikes out or flies out to, right center or something. You're not hearing like a big chorus of boos. And in a way, I guess that's a good look on the Rangers fans, but I'm surprised that at this point there's not a little bit more unrest in the crowd based off how he's performing, because this is starting to look like the worst free agent signing of you and I's lifetime for the Rangers. I mean, it's getting bad, man. It is getting bad. I know he had a home run.
Think of really anything else.
I know he had a home run. I was getting ready to really tear him up in this podcast, but he got a hit. And I'm glad he could get some kind of a confidence booster because, he really let it all hang out after he knocked it out towards right field on Sunday. And you can see that emotion, how much it meant to him. He is trying. He is desperately trying. But since he has become a Ranger, it's like he can't just hit the broadside of a barn. Like, I don't know what has happened to this guy.
No, and he looks clueless a lot of the times when he's at bat. But, I guess it's I don't know. I mean, I really don't like being negative about the players. I'm trying to think of something positive for Jock Peterson, but I just can't, man. I can't. It's just been, I can't tell you every single time he gets into the batter's box, it just feels like, you can just look away from the TV for a second. If you're doing something else, if you're working on something, if you need to go do your laundry, that's when you go take your clothes out of the dryer, start folding them. But I mean, it's horrendous. It's horrendous.
And it puts the Rangers management in such a tough position because they paid him all that money that they really can't just play Andrew McCutcheon. They had to bring him off the bench. He finally got his first appearance on Sunday. Again, he struck out, and you hate to see in that position where they had a chance to, have a runner on base or eventually take the lead, and he couldn't really do anything about it. But, overall, the Rangers starting pitching looked really fine over the weekend. I was surprised by Eovaldi, again, having the game he did, which was really disappointing against Baltimore. But, you look at the Rangers starting pitching over the weekend, it wasn't really that bad. It's just the late bullpen appearances by Chris Martin and Robert Garcia being unreliable has really cost them this last series against Cincinnati. So Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, very positive appearances for sure. Kumar Rocker especially, after he was getting rocked a lot, rocked earlier in the season last year. Good to see him have this kind of a start to the year. So even though he had a loss to his name in that 2-0 shutout, he still had a very quality appearance. And I was proud of how he pitched. He and his other Vandy boy and Jack Leiter also pitched a really solid game.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, I'm really hoping that this is a breakout year for Jack Leiter. I mean, I think that he can be really good. I think he's been overshadowed by kind of this amazing pitching staff that we've had. We kind of forget that Jack Leiter was the second overall pick that has really, really grown into his role, was struggling early in his career. Even in, the minor leagues, he was struggling at times. And now he's finally getting his chance. He had a great end of the year last year, was pretty consistent throughout. Again, got better as the season went on. He's had 2 incredible starts to start the season. This one a lot better than his start in Baltimore, but that one was still pretty, I would consider a quality start. And, I mean, who knows what's next for this kid. I'm calling him a kid. We're probably, I think, the same age, honestly. I don't know how old I know he's pretty young, but I mean, he has a lot of, ceiling, a lot of ceiling. All right. Yeah. And he's yet to reach it. I think I think this is the season where he can break out. I don't know all-star. but I think he can be a really, really good piece for the Rangers for years to come, and I'm really high on him.
Well, I hope so. And who else is having a great start for the Rangers offensively? Brandon Nimmo. My goodness. I
And who
mean,
hasn't had a good offensive start to the season, huh?
yeah, of course,
He
Jock
got a home
Peterson and
run.
Marcus
He
Semien,
got a
but
home run.
yeah, he did get a home run. But Brandon Nimmo, I made a tweet about it last week or a few days ago, rather, about how he runs the bases. Him and George Springer, something about it. It's like art. And you see Brandon Nimmo get that triple on Saturday and how he was, oh my guys, like their form is so beautiful and how they round it to a perfection, just the right angle. He has been awesome from this leadoff spot. And what a big contrast from Marcus Semien, who, look, it's just not been really good since that championship run, just being honest. And having a guy who can hit lefties from the leadoff spot in Brandon Nimmo is massive. Again, on Sunday, a two-hit game. He leads the Rangers in batting average right now at 389. This cannot be a better start for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's going to be a, you know, I mean, it's not going to matter much if this offense can't help him. But we talk about the free agent signings from last year. I know Nimmo wasn't a free agent signing, but he's one of the most notable pickups for this team from last year, or from this offseason, should I say. And we talk about the last year acquisitions with Jake Berger, Jock Peterson, having those kind of expectations that they'll come in, be a critical part of this team's offense, and both of them just shitting the bed for the first part of the season, Jock, for the entire way. And having Brendan Nimmo come in with these kind of high expectations, of course, to be better, and for him to meet it so far. I know it's only 9 games in, but for him to meet that so far it gives me hope. It gives me hope that the Rangers are building in the right direction. We've seen them have good offense, in the first 6 games of the season, or for most of the 6 games of the season. Not all of them, obviously. But who knows? Who knows if that's an improvement? I think this offense, again, it's a sign, because Marcus Semien, if he was our leadoff hitter, we would probably be not 4-5 right now. So we'll see.
We'll see what the Rangers can do. As look, if the offense has performed like this in the with the Cincinnati Reds, I mean, what are they going to do against this next opponent they have, and the Seattle Mariners, who have been notorious for the pitching factory that they've had in the last 3 years, have built a really well-rounded staff. Now, they've also started 4-5 as far as this Sunday recording that we have, currently losing to the LA Angels, and probably on their way of dropping that final game of the series to drop to 4-6 ahead of the next matchup. But that'll be a really interesting divisional series between these two teams. As it stands right now, it should be Jacob deGrom making another start this year against Logan Gilbert, followed by Evaldi and George Kirby, and then Mackenzie Gore, who has pitched pretty well this year, against Brian Wu to wrap it up. So, should be a fun series.
You call it fun. I don't remember the last time that I've had fun watching a Rangers Mariners series. I mean, they usually have our number.
Especially last year.
Mostly in Seattle. There are times where we have good series against Seattle and Arlington, but I mean, it's not fun always. And after what this offense produced in this first 3 games of the year at home, and seeing who we're about to face.
Yeah. Well, you said it yourself. The Mariners were 10-3 against the Rangers last year, and a number of those brutal losses happened actually at Globe Life Field, where they lost multiple extra inning games. And if you remember that 4-game series, that was just absolutely nauseating. Marcus Semien would have the one win, would produce that one win with the walk-off single to right field that would dribble all the way in for a walk-off victory. But a lot of extra inning losses against Seattle last season. Let's see if it can be a better campaign against the M's this year for the Texas Rangers. They'll play against Seattle tonight at 7:05 Central. All right, moving on to the Dallas Stars. Been an interesting go of it as of late for the Dallas Stars. Back-to-back shutout losses by Dallas since our last episode, losing 6-3 against Boston. Jake Andre would start that one, and then winning against the Winnipeg Jets 3-0, and then losing 2-0 against the Avs as well. Casey Smith would start that one. 5 more games left in the season, TJ. It's starting to become crunch time for the Stars, and They got to go against Calgary soon on Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. This team's pissing me off right now. This team's pissing me off a lot. It's what a terrible road stretch they had right there. They came back, shut out Winnipeg, which was great, of course, and this Colorado game was just so disappointing. Um, Obviously, when you score 0 goals against Colorado, it's never going to go right. It was going about 10 minutes left in the game. It was still tied 0-0, and it was only a matter of time. I knew that Colorado was going to score. It just depended on what the Stars could have done. And I know that Colorado's penalty kill has been one of the best in the league, one of their biggest strengths this season. But those power plays were pathetic. Pathetic. No chances overall. The first line with Rantanen, Robertson, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's Maverick Bork, was just non-existent. Or I'm sorry, it was Wyatt Johnston. I can't believe that I blanked on that. It's Wyatt Johnston. Only a few chances throughout the entire game where they got close to getting good chances. Wyatt Johnston was good on the weak side. He just could not get the stick on the puck multiple times when the puck kind of rolled over to him. That was tough. But you knew I knew before this game was going to happen that Colorado had first place locked up. This just makes it more competitive with Minnesota since they've been on a tear recently. You still have that game against them, I believe, on Thursday. If you lose that game, there's a good chance you're going on the road for game one all the way up to Minnesota, the good state of hockey, and playing in that hostile environment. Obviously, they don't think too kind of the Dallas Stars anymore. And so, we've 1-0 against them in the last 5 years in the playoffs. We knew that this was going to happen. I'm not going to complain at all about the playoff format. It sucks. The Stars are at their peak right now, I believe. They feel like these are some of the best teams that they've assembled, obviously, in a long time. I think these teams are more skilled than even the team that made it in the 2020 Cup final. And, just from talent-wise. And, you get in these divisions, for the last 3 years that they've made it to the Western Conference Finals, it has been a complete dogfight to get there. They have not even been able to get first in the Central Division in all those 3 years of making it to the Western Conference Finals. They've had to they beat Seattle the first year, who actually beat the 1 seed Colorado Avalanche. You had to beat Colorado then next year, who was the 1 seed again, and then you had to beat Winnipeg, who was the freaking President's Cup winners last year. And then now you got the Colorado Avalanche are going to be the President's Cup winner again. And it's just, if they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals again, they're going to have to beat more than likely Colorado again in the second round. And, it sucks. It sucks. But it is just, it's the format that we have. Again, I think I talk about this. If it was wins-loss, like a lot of people pitch, I think we would have played Edmonton in the first round last year, so it wouldn't have been any better. And so, you just kind of have to play whoever you're playing, I guess. I'm talking like a media trained player right now, but I can't complain about it. A lot of people complain about it. I'm not going to complain about it. You got to play the Wild. You just got to hope you get that home ice advantage. And, they got a big chance here on Thursday to beat them. We'll see if Ottinger starts.
And look, we've had these similar feelings leading up to the playoffs, really the last 2 years, because like you were saying, it's like this team limps into the postseason, very often.
All the time. It's been ever since my childhood. All the time.
Yeah.
They've had terrible second halves.
That's bad. And it's funny you mentioned that little Minnesota joke you had, but I used to work at Walmart, and there's a lady who was working from Minnesota, and I think I had some kind of Stars. I didn't have anything Stars related, did I? No, I don't think I did. But she's from Minnesota. We got to talk about hockey or something, and she's like, "Yeah, you took my hockey team or something." And
I've had that happen to me too. Had that happen to me too. The sweet old lady that helped me
she was so nice.
Oh my goodness, pins. I told you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She goes, "You're a Stars fan?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." She's like, "Y'all took my team." I was like, I have no clue how to respond to that.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
Happened before I was even breathing, ma'am. I don't know. Can't do much about it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, you hate to see that loss right there to Colorado. They've had their number. in the playoffs, as you've described in the past, it's hard to see them getting past them if they match up again in the second round. It really is. And I know we have a lot of this pessimistic mindset with this team at this time of year, and sometimes they can just turn it on out of nowhere when that first round hits. But yeah, when you see how the Avs are the President's Cup favorites now, are going to win the President's Cup, it's hard to see how this team could find a way to switch it on again this year. I want to ask you again about Glenn Gulletson, and he was just talking about this team's effort about a week or so ago. Is that what you're seeing again in this last, few games? Because he was talking about how he was really displeased by their effort. I think really in that it might have been at Philadelphia after the Philadelphia game. If not, it was the New
Probably
Jersey game.
was. That was a terrible game.
Yeah, he was really disappointed with the team's effort then. Do you see that again in that disappointing loss with the power play in Colorado?
Well, I mean, I think that I don't know if it's really, it's hard to say if it's a lack of effort. I mean, it was a defensive battle. The reason why the Stars lost was a defensive lapse by Leon Bischel, who had been playing a great defensive game throughout before that moment. And, it was top-notch defense on both sides. And, it's tough to generate those chances. Now, you are one of the top offenses in the league. You need to prevail at some point. So I think the effort does, suck on the offensive end, but you can't take away from the defensive effort in that game. It was an incredible defensive effort. The defense has looked good in these last few games, especially since, that game against Boston on last Tuesday. These last two games at American Airlines Center has looked, they've looked a lot better. So I don't know. I mean, you know, we were talking, like about a month ago about the scoring depth and how huge that was in the major run that they made throughout March. They had the people, Ritscovian was scoring consistently. Matt Duchene was starting to score a bunch again. He was getting really hot. And you had Thomas Harley scoring, which, he's not scoring depth really, but he's somebody who, has lacked scoring from, years prior. Again, he was injured, but, we'll play with it. And, Nick Bastione was scoring. These players, those types of players. Adam Ernie was getting a goal every now and then. We're not seeing that right now. Ritscovian was maybe a bad example, but, there's a few depth players that haven't started to lack a little bit. And, Robertson, Johnston, Randon, you wish to see them score against Colorado, but you need you need that, I guess, scoring depth to end up winning the games. And so that's what's worrying. But, going into the first round, playing devil, angel on the shoulder, actually, I guess if Colorado's playing a team like Nashville and we're playing a team like Minnesota and we were the advance, I think we would be, you might argue that we would be more tired, but I think we would be more prepared to play a high energy, high stakes, high intensity, best of seven series.
We'll see what happens. I want to ask you real quick again before we close. I mean, how about what's going on in Vegas, by the way, with the coaching replacement? I don't think I've ever seen
Well,
this.
I don't know if you've been checking the news today. We record on a Sunday, by the way.
I have not seen the recent stuff. What happened?
Well, Patrick Waugh with the Islanders just got fired. And you want to
Oh
know who got
my,
hired?
you're kidding me.
I'm not
Who?
kidding. I'm
Former
not.
Stars coach?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. What? What
Pete
is going on?
DeBoer
What
is
is
with the
going
Islanders
on?
now.
What is going on in the NHL, man?
They saw. I mean, hey,
Oh,
the Vegas started something dangerous. It seems like,
whew.
but Pete
Yeah.
DeBoer, who I think they're out of the playoffs now. Trying to find that right now. I think they are out of the playoffs
Yeah. Well,
because they
also
have
out
gone
of
on a terrible slide. No, they're still 1 point ahead of Ottawa, but Ottawa has 2 games in hand. Also, only 1 point ahead of Detroit and Columbus, and they also have a game at hand. So they're looking pretty bad. They've on a 4 game losing streak. Pete DeBoer coming in to save them. Hopefully, he doesn't bench the goalie. I don't know. That was a dumb comment, but
Ooh, shots. Also
really
out of
dumb
playoff
comment.
contention, the back-to-back champion Florida Panthers. How about that?
It's been a weird year. It has been a weird year because, it's Toronto's out of it. Obviously, I think people are starting to realize that their run, if you want to call it a run, was going to end soon. Now you got Buffalo, who has just been
I love it. I love it
extremely
all.
hot. I know, man. You're pretty close up there, so I'm sure the air's feeling a lot better. A lot of people are a lot happier up there, I guess.
For sure. I mean, I've never seen really a Sabres fan in my life, but one of my best buddies is a Sabres fan. Again, I told you this probably 2 weeks ago, but I will be trying to go to that game to close the year between the Stars and Sabres. The Sabres have officially
They
clinched
love
a
us.
spot yeah, they love Dallas Stars, folks. But yeah, the first time they get to go to the playoffs in 14 years. The drought is over for Sabres fans. One of the longest playoff droughts in American sports history finally snapped.
It's pretty
And
crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy to witness. And of course, who would have thought? How about you just rehire the coach that took you to the playoffs and the Stanley Cup way back then, you know? And so that genius idea has paid off, and the Sabres are headed to the playoffs. Let's see what they can do, but we'll preview that game later on, of course, in the coming weeks. But 5 games left for the Dallas Stars. One of those 5 will be happening on Tuesday at 7 o'clock against the Calgary Flames. And that'll do it for the 214 Sports Show, episode 112. We do thank you for joining us on this Easter Sunday episode. I want to remind you to like and subscribe this full episode on YouTube or Spotify. Please share to someone you know and love. We'd love to spread this podcast, still now in our 112th episode. Please follow our accounts on YouTube as well, and also TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. We post short form content, some remembrance photos or remembrance posts, reels of our analysis, and some of our hot takes that you may like or dislike. Looking at you, Rangers fans, because a lot of our takes there blow up, and sometimes they say we don't know ball like they did last year.
That's like the most unhappiest. It's the unhappy fan base of DOW sports, Rangers, man. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. For some reason, Cowboys content isn't really
It's
blowing up for
acceptance,
us.
man.
Yeah.
Well, the on today's dates do pretty well sometimes.
Yeah. Rangers, like, it's almost free because they always have something to say. I don't know what it is, but on TikTok especially, they have something to say, the Rangers fans.
There's an
But
army on TikTok for
yeah,
sure.
we thank you for sure for listening to this podcast. TJ, do you want to share your socials really quick before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's wild, We've always been finishing these outros in a rush recently. It's like, what I got a while until this meeting shuts down. I feel like I could just
Take
take
your
my
time.
time,
Yeah,
I'll
sit
let you
back.
guys, before I tell you guys my Instagram, I'll wait for you guys to pull up the Instagram app. Don't close out of YouTube though. Get on Instagram, you got it? All
Hey,
right.
grab a notepad. Grab a notepad, a pencil, maybe ink and feather.
Yeah. Whatever you have. It's TJ.Krilowicz on Instagram and TJ_Krilowicz on X.
And you can follow me at Joseph_Duffey99 on Instagram and Twitter, or at Joe_Duffey on TikTok. Again, please follow 214 Sports Show on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. And then we'll release these full episodes on Mondays at 10 a.m. Central. I'll also have some separate segments for you to watch if you just want to look at a certain team. But that'll do it for the 214 Sports Show, this Easter Sunday episode 112. For TJ Krilowicz, I'm Joseph Duffey. We're signing off, and we'll see you next week.